When the Muskoka Lakes Association was formed in 1894, the steamships had already been traveling the lakes for 28 years. Alexander Peter Coburn built his first ship, the Winona, in 1866. Coburn was an entrepreneur and realized the importance of water transportation for settlers, the logging and hotel industries, and for private cottages. He campaigned for construction of the locks in Port Carling and the cut between Lake Rosso and Lake Joseph at Port Sandfield. By 1871, his ships could navigate from Gravenhurst to all parts of the three lakes. By the 1890s, he had 5 ships in service, and the MLA were urging the use of holding tanks on those ships to avoid the waste going directly into the lake. During this period, skilled local boat builders began building rowboats and sailboats for cottagers and hotels. William Johnson of Port Carling and Henry Ditchburn of Rosso were preeminent, supplying boats for rent at Windermere House on Lake Rosso and Elgin House on Lake Joseph and many other places. In the early years of the MLA, growth in Muskoka was exponential. By 1900, Muskoka's permanent population had grown to over 10,000. Private cottages dotted the shorelines, and there were over 30 hotels on the lakes. And by 1914, the MLA was speaking out for better septic systems at the hotels. Around 1905, with the advent of gasoline engines, the local builders of rowboats and sailboats saw the potential to build motorboats for wealthy cottagers. They successfully built larger boats to the demanding specifications of North America's finest naval architects. The major boat builders were Johnson, Matheson, and Duke in Port Carling. Minette, Barnes, and Brown were in Bracebridge, and Gravett and Ditchburn in Gravenhurst. The first quarter of the 20th century were the golden years for steamboats, hotels, and boat builders in Muskoka. More than a dozen steamers served about 50 tourist establishments, including the grand hotels like the Royal Muskoka. In 1924, the MLA responded, installing navigational aids, marking the shoals, and later advocated for speed limits in narrow channels. Even then, though, things were changing. First the trains, then the roads and the automobiles were eclipsing the steamers. Many hotels had burnt or were closing, and by the end of the 1960s, the remaining hotels were in decline. The steamers were retired in 1958, having lost their mail contracts. Locally built wooden boats gave way to popular fiberglass models manufactured outside of Muskoka. However, in the late 1970s, restoration began on the RMS Seguin, which is now the oldest operating ship in North America. She was returned to service in 1982. In 1976, the Muskoka Lakes Association initiated an antique boat show in Port Carling to celebrate the beauty and the heritage of boat building in Muskoka. These biannual shows have since grown into one of North America's top antique boat shows, a fitting tribute to Muskoka's incredible boat builders.